Hello my loves, welcome back to the Faithful Doula podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the different options you have on where to deliver your baby. You can either have a home birth, you can go to a birth center, or you can have it at the hospital. As a disclaimer, I do want to let you know that no matter where you deliver your baby, it's your opinion, it is your option, it is what you want, what you think is best for you. I don't think one is better than the other. I do think that everybody should know their choices, and whatever you decide is best for you and your family, that's all I care about. I'm just here to spread the knowledge for you. Okay, so let's start off with talking about home births. How can I have a home birth? Why would I want a home birth? So again, like I said, it is all a personal preference. Those who want a home birth usually want a home birth because they want a natural birth. They don't want any medication. They want to be at the comfort of their own home. Maybe they have more than one child and they want their child to be present. So things like that, if that's something that you think that correlates with what you want, maybe a home birth is for you. When it comes to having a home birth, I do want to put out there that it is not covered by insurance. It is normally out of pocket. Every midwife has their different rates, so I do suggest you go looking and shopping around. I know 2 birth centers in the San Fernando Valley or near the San Fernando Valley, and there's way more in Los Angeles. So just do your research and just Google home birth midwives, and you can find out more information on who works best for you. Call around, shop around, ask questions. Some questions I do recommend that you ask are, what are their policies on who is eligible to birth with them? Most home birth midwives don't take high risk patients. They don't take moms who have preeclampsia or gestational diabetes or other factors. Some midwives do take VBACs, which are vaginal births after cesareans. So if you had a VBAC and you're concerned if a midwife will take you in or not, that's a question you can ask them. You can also ask them, hey, what are your protocols when it comes to hospitals? If something bad happens, God willing it doesn't, but if something bad happens, what are your protocols? What happens? How fast will you transport me? Where will you transport me? And midwives usually work with the hospital that's around you or a hospital of your choosing. But you can ask them these questions. A great thing about home births is that you are at the comfort of your own home. You do not have to leave just as you would to a birth center or a hospital when you're in the middle of a contraction or you're in active labor or whatever. Who wants to get in a car and drive to the hospital? That's the most uncomfortable thing ever. That's a great pro for a home birth, is that you do not have to leave your home. With COVID and everything, you do not have to leave your home and be exposed to other people, be exposed to the hospital setting. You can also have all the food that you want at your kitchen. In the hospital right now, you can't be going in and out getting food for yourself and your partner. You just have it at the comfort of your own home. And you don't have to hire a nanny, or you don't have to get a babysitter because you have to leave to the hospital. These are all great pros about having a home birth. When it comes to prenatal visits for a home birth, some midwives come to your house and do the prenatal visits there. Because of COVID, some midwives are doing telemedicine, and some midwives have their own standing location that they would want you to go in. Again, these are questions that you can ask your midwife. You can ask them, hey, how do you do prenatals? How do you do postpartum visits? If that's something that concerns you, if that's something that is important to you that you want in your own home, that's a question you can ask them. That can be, a hard check for you. I just want you to know that this is an option for you. This can be an option for you. Just know what questions you need to ask and you'll be good to go. Now I'll be discussing the option of a birth center. Why a birth center? How can I find one? Why would I want one? These are things that you have to decide. I'm going to be explaining what comes with a birth center birth, and you make the decision on if you want that or not. The great thing is that right now some birth centers are accepting insurance. Some are covering it, some insurance fully cover it, and some insurances partially cover it. You can get reimbursement. That's the great thing. So what I suggest you do is go to your insurance, call them, see if there's a birth center on that list of providers, and maybe you can have a birth center for free. Obviously there's some things that you have to buy, but it's cheaper than a home birth. A birth center is just like a home birth without the comfort of your own house. That's mainly the big difference. It's at a birth center. It is at the midwife's location. The birth center is also for a mom that wants to have a natural birth. The only pain medication that they provide, or some midwives provide, is nitrous oxide, which is like a gas that helps during the contractions. But that's about it. Everything else is you and your partner helping you, or a doula helping you, and it's just more of a natural process. You come into the birth center for your prenatal visits, and you come to the birth center for your postpartum visits, and you come during your labor, obviously. A great thing about a birth center is they do have everything there for you. They have a tub where you can be in. They have a full bathroom with a shower that you can hop into. They have a kitchen. They have like a little living room where your family can hang out. Right now, midwives have different protocols when it comes to how many people they allow in to your space or into the birth center. So you can ask the midwife, hey, how many people can I bring with me on the day I give birth? And they will tell you. That's a question that you can ask them. All the questions I told you to ask about hiring a midwife is for a home birth are the same questions you should be asking for a birth center birth as well. Another good thing about birth centers is the midwife is in contract, in a sense, with the local hospital, and they have a good bond. They have a good repertoire. So you can ask them, what hospital do you transport me at? Usually it's very local, and you can ask them questions in regards of that hospital. How do you work with them? Do you come with me? Every midwife is different, so these are questions that you should be asking. What I have noticed with birth centers is you stay there anywhere from 2 to 4 hours depending on how long the newborn exam is. They also see if there was any complications with the mom. You stay there a little longer, but you do get sent home the same day. These are things that you should prepare for. Birth center births are great. If all this information is something that made you want to have a birth center birth, by all means go for it. Message me if you have any more questions on birth center births. I am well-rounded when it comes to birth center births, just because most of my clients have given birth at birth centers, and I love them. They're beautiful, and I hope if you want to have one and want a doula, please let me know. Now I'm going to be discussing the hospital birth. A lot of people know this option because it's what insurance covers, it's what people mostly know about. This is the one that everybody just goes to naturally. I want to discuss mainly what you're getting yourself into, what options you didn't know you had, and also maybe some questions you can ask and didn't know you could ask. So things like that. The first things first is you can shop around for providers. If there's a hospital that your insurance just sends you to, you can question them. You can ask them, what are your protocols when it comes to COVID? What are your protocols as to when you're going to discharge me? When you find the hospital that you like, you can start searching for providers. Some providers are huge on our inductions. There's certain providers that only do C-sections. There's certain providers that are very all natural. You do it when you come in when you want to. We're not going to push you on inductions. And whatever works for you, just know that you can shop around. You can ask questions. Now, when it comes to COVID, things are ever changing. There's some hospitals that allow more than one support person. There's some There's some hospitals that make you take a test, a COVID test before coming in. There's hospitals that don't. Every hospital is different when it comes to COVID right now, and they change all the time. All the rules change all the time. So what I'm asking you is to please stay on top of calling ahead and seeing if their protocols have changed. Let's say today you don't have to take a test, but maybe when you're going into labor next week, you do. So call them weekly when you're 38 weeks. Call them weekly. Hey, have any protocols changed? What should I expect when coming in? Do I have to register before? So these are things you want to know when it comes to COVID. When you're in labor, some hospitals don't care if you're 2 centimeters or 4 centimeters. They'll check you in because they don't mind. But there's also some hospitals that want you to come in when you're 4 centimeters. If you don't know if you're 4 centimeters or not, that's something that I suggest taking a childbirth education class, which I will be offering soon. But you can, if you're going to be delivering soon and you're listening to this, please message me and I'll teach you some things, or you can hire me to be your doula, virtual doula. I just want to help you if you're pregnant right now and don't know much. Please message me. I'm here to help you. So if you're at 4, I just don't want you to be sent home. I don't want you to be sent home if you don't have to. Getting in the car and coming back and leaving and all that while you're in pain or during contractions, it's just going to make life so much harder. So please educate yourself on when to head to the hospital and ask questions. Ask them when they want you to head to the hospital. I always suggest to go when your contractions are 5 minutes apart, 5 to 4 minutes apart. But it all depends on how you're feeling. It all depends on if you're low risk or high risk. There's so many factors. So again, message me if you want to know more about what to do. When it comes to the laboring process, like I said, every hospital is different, but let's say you're already checked in. If you have no COVID and things like that, everything's running smoothly, just know that depending on the hospital or clinic or wherever you're delivering, some hospitals have OBs or midwives in rotation. You might not get the same OB that you've been seeing all this time during your pregnancy, and that's something you can ask in the beginning. Will you be there at my birth, or is it going to be whoever's on call? So these are things you want to know. But what you can control while you're in labor is, let's say you don't like the OB that's coming in and trying to touch you and being rude. You can request to get a different OB. It's never too late to get a different OB, because you'll forever remember that doctor. You'll remember them by their name if they're being rude. There's some horrible OBs out there. But like I said, it's provider per provider. Hopefully you get a good OB. But if you don't like them and they're making you stress out, ask to get a different one. Tell your partner, hey, I don't like this guy. Kick him out. So know that you have that right as a laboring person. Remember that they're working for you, not the other way around. They're getting paid to service you, and you need to know that, okay? When it comes to postpartum in the hospital, because of COVID, you cannot come in and out of the hospital to go buy food, to go get more clothes, or whatever the case may be. So please be prepared to stay 3 to 5 days. For people that have vaginal births, you stay normally 1 to 3 days. For C-sections, 3 to 5 days. Those are mainly the protocols. Again, you can ask them, how many days do moms stay? But you want to be prepared for up to 5 days of being in the hospital. So have enough food, have enough clothes. Those are the 2 things I mainly suggest to be prepared for. Something I love about COVID is the visitor rule. I truly think it's important that the parents get the bonding time with the baby in the beginning of postpartum. It's truly important, and to not have visitors come in every hour on the hour, it's a blessing in disguise, to be honest. And if you're an extrovert like me, you want people to come and visit you. You want to show off your baby, like, hey, like, come see my child, they just came into this world. I'm like that, but I know not a lot of people are like that. So to all my introvert friends out there, this is your blessing in disguise. You don't have to tell people not to come. You don't have to feel bad that you don't want people to come or things like that, because COVID got you in that sense where there's no visitors allowed until you get home. And even then, that's on you, person to person, on what your preferences are, on who you're allowing to see your baby or touch your baby. So that's on you as a parent. Remember, you have a voice and use it, especially with family. During the postpartum phase, also be prepared to get woken up every hour or two by the nurses. The nurses come to check on you and check on baby every hour. So, and that's very normal. So you're going to be exhausted those 3 days or that 1 day. So just be prepared for that, okay? Another thing you have to prepare for is if you're planning to breastfeed, you're having colostrum at first. The first 3 to 4 days is just colostrum. And then after that, your breasts get full with milk. So don't be afraid or don't get bullied into feeding your child formula because you're not producing enough milk or your milk hasn't come down. You're in the hospital for only 3 days. Sir, my milk hasn't come yet, so back off. Don't feed my kid formula. So you have to be very persistent on that. Some hospitals, some OBs, some protocols, whatever the case may be, they kind of force you into feeding your child formula. And if you do not want it, you can reject it. It is your baby, your choice. So remember that. If you want to feed your child formula, by all means, go for it. But it has to be your choice, not be bullied into it. That's big emphasis. So remember, the first 3 days, it's colostrum. It's liquid gold for your baby. Baby's belly is this small. This small. Tiny, tiny, tiny belly. So you don't have to feed your child all that much. Just keep them there. Just be aware that they will try to bully you into feeding your baby formula. And just be aware of that, okay? Sometimes there's lactation consultants that come in. During COVID, not so much. Maybe during COVID, they send a lactation consultant for like a minute or two. I haven't heard great things on that part. But if you don't have a lactation consultant and you're still having trouble with milk after 3 to 4 days, then I suggest you contact a lactation consultant. But again, don't get bullied on you not producing enough milk on the first 3 days, please. Hospitals also have free stuff to take home. They have diapers, they have formulas, baby cloths, they have so many things that are there that you can take home. So that's another great thing about hospitals is you get free stuff and you can get a free pump, even a free car seat. So ask the nurse what you can take home for free and they will help you. Now that I covered all your options on where you can deliver your baby, I hope you make the decision that's best for you, and I hope everything comes out the way you want it to do. I hope your birth preferences are met. Every birth is different. Things do take a turn last minute, and just expect that. Don't go in thinking, okay, I made this decision, everything's gonna go 100% my way. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Like I said, only because you chose where you decided to give birth doesn't mean it's going to go 100% your way. That's why it's called birth preferences and not birth plans. All I'm here for is to make sure that you knew your choices. And I hope this video helped you make a decision today, or made you more knowledgeable on what your options are, or prepared you for what your option already is. If this episode helped you in any way, please let me know. Comment something down there or comment wherever, DM me. Let me know something you learned today. I do want to know feedback. I do want feedback. I want to know how I helped you today. Let me know that these videos are doing something for you. Like, subscribe, message me, share, do all those things, because I know these videos will help someone out there. If it didn't help you, maybe it'll help your friend. On next week's episode, I'm going to be discussing the importance of a doula, how much doula costs, where can I find a doula, what questions to ask a doula when hiring one. I'm gonna go over how a doula can help, whether at a home birth, a birth center, or the hospital. We have so many hats that we wear. We work with all 3 places. We're just mainly there for you, not the environment. I can't wait to answer all those questions you guys have for me. Since I'm telling you what I'm going to be discussing, please message me if you have a certain question when it comes to the importance of a doula, and I'll make sure to answer it next week. Let me know if you like this. Thank you so much for the support. I love you guys all.